Hello, this is Andy Stockett. I'm a managing partner with FourBridges Capital Advisors. We're a boutique investment bank specializing in merger and acquisition activities for business owners in a variety of industries. Today, I have with me my founding partner and also managing director, Chris Rowe. And also with us is Ken Dewitt, who is an implementer, an EOS implementer, I guess I should say, from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We're doing this broadcast today to let Ken share a little bit about the EOS system that FourBridges has put into their management system of the firm, and hear a little bit about what it might do for you as business owners. So I guess I might start off by saying there's a book out that actually says, what the heck is EOS? So I would go to the introduction and it says, whether you are a customer service rep, accountant, field service rep, salesperson, sales support staff, welder, truck driver, or any other role, this book was written to help you be more successful in your company, a company running on the Entrepreneurial Operating System. So Ken, good afternoon, and maybe tell us a little bit about your background and how you might describe EOS.
Well, thank you, Andy, and hello, Chris. It's really good to be here with you. I appreciate it. EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System, and I am a veteran of business ownership since age 24. It's hard to believe I'm 64 now. And over the years, I was involved. Well, just to back up real fast, I come from literally a farm family. There were 8 of us kids, and all 8 of us ended up going to college, first generation. So my mom and dad were small-time business owners, and I learned about hard work through family business ownership and watching mom and dad, and then later my mother and father-in-law. But when I got out of school, I dedicated my life to trying to figure out how to do business simpler and so that it was more successful. So over the years, I've owned parts of half a dozen businesses or been deeply active in managing family business, and started out as a CPA for 25 years, but the last 15 or so, I've been focused on that dream, if you will, of helping business owners build better businesses. And I discovered EOS right over 11 years ago. I'm in my 12th year now. And I was searching for a way to teach my clients and the people I worked with how to do business better and simpler. In fact, I even thought about building my own system. And then when I saw EOS in the book Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business, it was, yes, far superior to what I could have invented myself. So I've been doing it now. I've been 11 years, over 90 businesses, almost 1,000 all-day sessions, and I'm enjoying the heck out of it and really happy to be working with you two.
Well, great. We appreciate it. We've enjoyed getting to know you as well. Chris, you're the one who found EOS for FourBridges. Maybe tell us a little bit about how you got introduced to it and what interested you in it.
I participate in a Christian CEO forum called C12, and each month we meet and talk about ways to improve the business. And I kept hearing more and more about traction and how certain businesses within the forum had tried it. And even I talked to the forum leader and got a couple of businesses in the forum and spoke with their CEOs about one of them self-implemented and one used an implementer. And I think what I would say is what attracted me to it was trying to find something, as Ken said, simple, that allows you to run your business on. And, you know, over the years, you and I have had success and we've worked really hard, but we were always trying to find something that worked. And I think we were using a number of different systems or a number of we were always trying to find the next thing. And I think really what attracted me to it was the ability to put the processes in place I mean, I think what EOS says is you really should only run your business based on one operating system. I think that's right. When you have a whole bunch of different things, it can cause confusion. So I think for us, we had been very successful, but the opportunity was to kind of cement that so that we could continue to grow and really create something of value for our younger generation. So that was the intent, was to create a system that's documented and whatnot.
Yeah, what I've enjoyed a lot about it is helping us to decide, what our core values are as a company, and what type of people adhere to those qualities, and it sets the stage also for, if you're going to grow your company, make sure you attract people that share those same core values. We won't get into all the details because this is a brief broadcast, but Ken, what are some of the biggest changes you see in an EOS client, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months out, if they have, quote, successfully implemented the EOS system?
Well, we promise, and as I did with you, I said, you're going to get better at three things: vision, traction, and healthy. Vision, we're going to help. And what we did together was clarify your vision, core values, core focus, big, hairy, audacious goal target, marketing strategy, 3-year picture, and then setting a plan, 1-year plan, set of rocks, or short term. So the discipline comes from clarifying your vision, and then secondly, becoming more disciplined in executing on that vision, the traction disciplines, as we call it, effective meetings, tracking the correct KPIs, or as we call them, measurables, having priorities called rocks. And so the clarity that comes from filtering through all of the many hundreds of things that are on a business owner's mind, as I recall, dozens of things that you all talked about, I said, let's start to clarify. Let's think of these in a compartmentalized way so that we don't think of all of them at one time. We just think of the ones we've got to. And that leads to the execution or traction. Now, healthy is about dealing with the interpersonal relationships in a business and dealing with employees. And so people start to see clarity in their vision, gain traction, and then healthier relationships among partners, among boss and employee, and so forth. And the last thing I'd say besides those three is just the overall awareness, I guess you'd say, that business issues, they're just not as hard as we make them sometimes. I have a fondness of saying business is way harder than it looks, but it's way less complicated than we make it. We have discovered that if you think of your business through a lens of what we call the 6 key components, you see them behind me here, it simplifies things. And so people start to get more done and feel more on a team. And I sense that's what you two felt as well. So that's some of the things you can expect. And then as it gets further into it, we keep refining. We are also fond of saying there's absolutely nothing new in EOS. You've heard it all before. But what Gino Wickman did that was genius was to find a way to spread the best practices over about a 24-month period so that it's absorbed by the leadership team, becomes muscle memory, and the way that we walk with you through about at least 24 months of meetings so that we can see you executing, and eventually you won't need your implementer. But so it's about a 2-year program. Some like to go longer, some can move a little faster. And Chris, would you say you've seen some of those changes?
Yes. I mean, I wanted to add here, hearing you speak about, traction and vision and core values. I mean, we've been through strategic planning before, and where they get up and they talk about the mission, vision, and values, and there was just a level of clarity that was in, with your implementation in the book that I haven't seen otherwise. It always made my head hurt, and I just, it was very difficult for us to define those core values. And I was just amazed at the session we went through, and it's really who we are. And it came out pretty quickly. So I think, and like you said, defining the roles and, getting the vision, and we're still a work in progress. We're early on. I mean, I guess we're a year in, and I don't know whether we're behind or ahead, but I sure feel like we have a lot left to do. But working on that clarity and communicating the message throughout the organization, even though we're a small organization, it has provided I think, more clarity with our team members, and everybody's more aligned on the vision and understands where we're trying to go.
Well, again, we don't want to get into too much detail, but one of the things that we certainly subscribe to is a change in our meeting formats. If you want to give a quick overview, Chris, of the infamous L10 approach, and then Ken, you can correct him when he misses a step.
You're under pressure now.
I'm sure that I'm going to get it wrong. Well, the first part starts with a personal best and a business best, each week for each team member in the meeting. And, it's a way just to break the ice for everybody to know what's going on in the organization and talk to each other. And then when you go through a set of reviews where you review your rocks, which are your quarterly rocks, that whether they're on track or off track. If they're off track, you kind of put an issue out there to be dealt with later. You review your to-dos, or maybe even, I think there's a company headline or employee headline in there. If there's something we need to share about something going on with our clients or employees, and then review our to-dos for the week and whether they got done or they didn't, or why they didn't. I guess if they didn't, we're supposed to put an issue out there, and then at the end we talk about the issues, and we're supposed to rank those issues and solve them, go all the way through solving them, which can be pretty direct. We're still working on that a little bit, but it's and then you set aside a certain amount of time. I think one of the things that's they say is they start at the same time, they last the same amount of time, and you address the same things every time. And that's important because it kind of sets the meeting pulse, and everybody knows what's going to happen. So
you did a great job.
And then at the end, we rank the meeting on a scale of 1 to 10. So Ken, how did Chris do on that?
He did very well. The meeting pulse is just one of multiple meetings, weekly, quarterly, annually, that the leadership team adopts and schedules. And Chris is exactly right. It's about checking in with each other. People usually schedule 60 to 90 minutes. And I have people tell me all the time, we used to sit right next to each other. We talked all the time. Why do we have a meeting? Well, this is how you involve other people too on your leadership team, not just two people. And everybody left hand knows what the right hand's doing, and so forth. It's a disciplined ritual. We meet on the quarters and in the annual to set rocks or priorities. You've got a scorecard. We set performance metrics by the week, and in that weekly meeting, you check them. And in the quarterly meeting, we go off site and we see how we did against our annual plan and what tweaks we need to make, and we get back on track. And we learn tools, additional best practices tools, and we practice communicating our vision. We practice giving performance reviews. It's all basic disciplines, but what I love about it, it's packaged and portioned, meaning we teach you, as you guys have felt, sometimes you get to the point where you're full and you can't take any more, and that's where we stop and say, there'll be another session coming soon. We'll teach you more then.
So if a company, a business owner decides to implement this, and brings 3, 4, 5 members of his management team into it, what changes must a business owner be prepared for in implementing an EOS?
Well, the first thing is to realize that you have to become a coach of a team, a leader of a team, and build a team, as opposed to trying to do everything yourself and be involved in every situation. So this is about clarifying the structure of the organization so that people know they've got the ball and they're holding it and they can't fumble it, so that the business owner can trust them more. So they have to be willing to not be the center of everything. Most people would gladly do that. And then secondly, your leadership team is going to take time to learn. Almost everybody I see getting promoted to a leadership position, say leader of sales, leader of operations, leader of finance, or whatever, they're technically skilled at sales or at operations, but they're not necessarily skilled or trained at all in being a leader and a manager. So that takes patience. Sometimes you have to realize that your team may not be the necessary person. So we call it right person, right seat. Just briefly, right person, of course, shares the company's values. Right seat means they are perfectly suited for the seat you have for them. And sometimes when you set up your first leadership team, you may not have everybody that's right person, right seat. So over a 2-year period, we frequently see people added to and dropped from the leadership team. Sometimes the drops are, they realize they're not leaders, they're good technical people, and they'd be happy just doing that. Or sometimes they don't share the company's core values or the company's vision. And well, that's what's necessary to stay working at the company. So all kinds of changes can happen, almost all of them for the good, none of them necessarily without pain. EOS and any operating system can be simple, but simple does not mean easy. And we, as former business owners ourselves, we coach people to deal with the really hard issues. This person may not share your core values. This person, the seat's too big for them, and you don't have time for them to grow into it. So, we've got to have hard conversations, and we help you do those things. But most owners feel a lightening, a burden lifted, because not so much lifted as shared. I never was in the military, but I always respected those guys who could tote around the big log, on the beach. And it's when it works right, there are more shoulders under the weight, and thus the owners and top managers can elevate to do other things that they're particularly good at.
Yeah, that's great. Good analogy there with the log. So what type of company do you find is a fit for EOS, and what kind of company is probably not a good fit for an EOS system?
I get that question all the time. First off, EOS is for entrepreneurial companies. It's for privately owned companies. This does not really work for corporate entities, corporate divisions. And so privately owned usually means the founders are still involved. Occasionally that might mean private equity, but further, 10 to 250 employees, people that are open-minded, that are willing to learn, respectful of one another, appreciative, growth focused. If you just want to stay where you are, EOS may not be for you. Business tends to be very frustrating. So most of the companies that are entering EOS are tired of hitting a ceiling, tired of having people issues they can't seem to solve, tired of not having enough profit. They want help. They're willing to be open, honest, and vulnerable, and they value their employees. So who it's not right for, as I mentioned, not-for-profit entities are typically not entrepreneurial. Corporate divisions of major corporations usually are not very entrepreneurial. So these are for companies. This is for companies where the decision makers are in the room and in the weekly meeting, fighting to make the business better, to build their culture. So it's It's a very narrow slice. The book is for anybody. The books, anybody, even mom and pop businesses can use them. But most of my clients range anywhere from, say, $1 million, 2 million to 5 to 50 million. I've got some clients that are 100, $250 million. But most of them are the 10 to 250 employee size, because that's when you can still impact the culture. It gets much bigger than that. You've either figured it out or you're owned by somebody else.
Well, great. That's a good assessment. Chris, you got any other thoughts to convey to some of our business owner friends that might be watching today?
Well, I mean, I continue to, when I touch people out in the marketplace, tell them that it's made a huge impact on our business. And I've continued to be a big proponent of EOS, and people are asking all the time. I've had several people in my forum even pick up the book and started reading it and implementing on their own. We felt it was better for us to have an implementer, because I think, we wear a number of hats in our business, and we just needed that facilitation. So I think that I would tell anybody that this is a great system to look at, and they need to use a system, but this is a great one. And I think it's written out in a way and put together in a way that is simple and easy to understand.
Completely agree with Chris. Get a system. We say an operating system is a lot like the ones on your computer. They organize the other pieces and programs. EOS is one of a half dozen or a dozen operating systems. And if you want to learn about EOS, an implementer, whether or not you plan to self-implement, will be happy to contribute a couple of hours of their time to give you the overview. And that way, then you can choose self-implementation or using an implementer or picking a different system. We're very open source on our material. We want people to use it. And I was thrilled to be here with you both today.
Yeah, and just kind of a wrap up, the feedback we got from our other employees, I think, has been very positive, because they saw that Chris and I didn't want to just have a kind of a professional services firm that kind of just muddles along, but really building something for the future that particularly some of the younger folks can feel like it's really becoming a business and something that that'll survive us and allow us to attract other people that, again, have those core values. And of course, when we think we have those things in there in our systems, it inures to the benefit of our clients as well. So, thank you all for joining us today. And Ken, it is March Madness. I see you're proudly wearing that A on the front of your shirt. So
yeah, we're making it to the round of 16.
Yeah, I guess Alabama's not a basketball school now, so you got a whole nother season to deal with, right?
Yeah, well, it's been fun, and I've been up a lot of late nights watching it lately. The whole thing. I mean, I'm really into it, but I don't have a bracket, and I understand there are 0 out of 2.1 million brackets that are left intact. So.
See, that's why we have Ken as our implementer. He comes up with all kind of useful facts like that. Well, thank you, folks. Enjoyed catching up with you, and we'll talk soon.
Take care. Thank you.